Welcome to a true winter wonderland and the popular sports resort of St.Moritz, Switzerland. This charming scenic village, 6,000 feet up in the Swiss Alps, has 3 times hosted the Olympic Games, 1928, 1948, and last year's Youth Olympics. You see the conditions, you see the snow falling, and I can tell you from the racing earlier today in the singles competition, this snow could greatly impact what goes down the track over the next hour. Here's a closer look at the natural track, one of the most famous and beautiful spots in all of the sliding sports. I'm Tim Singer, pleased to bring in for the commentary today 2014 USA Olympian Kate Hansen. And Kate, we've seen some great action already this weekend on the world's most famous course.
We can see in this video the weather's slightly different than what we're dealing with today. And this track in St. Moritz, it's definitely a unique track. I mean, as we've mentioned, it is a hand-built track every year. And so these athletes really do fall victim to the weather and whatever it decides to do that day. And I want to point out, you'll notice this athlete's feet moving up and down, and there's multiple ways to steer this sled. You can steer with your feet, your hands, your shoulder, and your head. And it's so important with these curves, especially at the top. There's a series of quick turns at the top that they have to lay down and be quick and ready for.
The weekend, in fact, the entire season concludes now with the team relay competition. 10 nations will be on hand. As you see, number 6 there, Ukraine, will not start. Believe it or not, the road was closed between their hotel and the venue. The USA will start things off. Germany, in hopes of clinching yet another season's title, it would be their 10th. They will be the last to go. But there are several other nations mathematically still alive to win this year's title.
It'll be really interesting to watch this relay. It's one of the more fun events to watch within Luge. Pretty new, actually, within the Olympic circuit. It debuted, was it in Sochi in 2014? Is that right, Tim?
That's right, and this is the 9th year it's been on the World Cup. It began first as a team competition, sort of separate disciplines, and they added up the points. But now the fun of the gate opening up, the paddle to hit down below. We'll tell you a lot more about that over the course of the first few nations. And you got to believe it's an advantage of sorts for the United States and Summer Britcher there throwing on that shield. Going first, Kate, in these conditions.
Absolutely. I mean, this snow, it really does depict the times that these athletes get on this track. There's so much to do with the weather. I mean, that's the beauty of a winter sport, is you kind of just have to roll with the elements. And the Americans picked a lucky number with this first off draw.
Britcher, a 5-time World Cup winner from Glen Rock, Pennsylvania. Earlier today, she captured, or earlier this season rather, the USA's only podium of this abbreviated season, a bronze medal in a women's singles competition.
Summer is a consistent athlete and can be dangerous if she is on mentally. I mean, she can be gunning for the medals any given day, any given race, and hopefully for Team USA she can put down a clean run, because they usually fare pretty well in the team competition if they all are able to be consistent.
The USA did not join the tour this season until after the holiday break. And all of the races scheduled outside of Europe, Asia, and North America were moved to Europe to have a compact pandemic bubble. So that affected certainly the Americans' results this year on tour. As they come across the finish line, there's the paddle, and it opens the gate for Tucker West of Ridgefield, Connecticut, who yesterday finished 17th in the singles competition.
I want to point out there's a new metric we're looking for, the change time. Tucker pulled a 2.16. So something different about the relay is that these athletes are actually working on their reactionary time. So usually in a normal World Cup, the clock will just count down, give them a green light, and they have 30 seconds to pull off. But for the relay, it depends on when that pad is hit at the bottom and the gate immediately opens. So Tucker usually has a pretty fast reaction with 2.16, so it's kind of a good gauge as we move forward within this race.
Looking at the lineup, the USA obviously will take the lead as the first down. They should hang on to that lead for a while. Last week at the World Championships, they finished just off of the podium in 4th place, but twice over the last several years they have been on the podium at the Worlds. Now the change time and hitting the paddle. I'm not sure what happened there. Did the doubles team go off too soon, or was there a technical malfunction?
I'm not sure because that gate will not open unless that pad is hit. I wonder if maybe just the camera timing was off and maybe we were seeing it differently, but it doesn't seem like there's any issue on the track right then. But yeah, that gate will only open as soon as that pad is hit, and it just has to be hit slightly as well. It doesn't need a big bash, but as long as it gets hit, it will open up. But I guess we'll find out when they finish this run.
Chris Mazder, the top man, an Olympic silver medalist in singles. His bottom man is Jason Turdeman. Jason was telling me recently that the thing about the challenge about this course is how white everything is and how quiet it is. Now, we saw that clock stop quite a bit before the paddle was hit, so I'm not sure if we're seeing a little video timing sync issue going on here.
Right, you can see the confusion for Britcher. She's standing in the leader's box. I wonder if maybe we're just seeing a malfunction, but either way, yeah, you can see them talking right there. Either way, the Americans put down some clean runs. It's really, there's so much to this relay race because if you're the one athlete that doesn't put together a run, the guilt that holds. But yeah, I guess we can see right there, doubles got let go early. I wonder if this would be a position for a rerun.
Well, this is Marie-Louise Reiner with the two-way radio, and she is the race director. She'll be dealing with this. We'll find out in a moment what's going on here. Let's see if we can hear. The Romanians are waiting at the top, but I believe we're going to have a track hold. And what may happen, Kate, is that the Americans will get a rerun last. And that, of course, will take away any advantage they may have had by going off first.
Right. That would be a true tragedy because to be able to pull off first is truly such an advantage, especially with this weather. And even though there's sweepers and they're shoveling the snow out, it's really hard to have it not accumulate on the sides and create these small little snowbanks. So that would be a big bummer for the Americans if this was the case.
Well, we'll just await word. And we'll see what's going on as I will set the stage a little bit to let you know that in the World Cup standings, Germany leads over Russia by 40 points. So if you know the way math works, 1st through 10th in the point system on the World Cup, as George Hackl there on the left certainly knows the point system, should Russia win today and Germany not podium, Germany finished 4th. In fact, those two teams would end up tied for the World Cup overall. And nothing's out of the realm of possibility in these weather conditions today.
What do you think happened, Tim? Do you think there was maybe something was tripped, or have you seen anything like that before?
I have not. And here's my guess, if you are asking. They've never had a relay race here on the World Cup. I'm not sure about Youth Olympics last year, whether there was team relay. But and in fact, I believe there was. But I think the weather may have caused some sort of, it's all electronic. You hit the paddle, but that triggers something that opens the gate below. It might not be the paddle itself. It might be some related mechanism. So clearly the gate opened for Mazder and Turdeman because it wasn't like they stormed the gate like some sort of action movie figure, right? And just just decided to go.
Well, I wonder too, I mean, as these athletes go down, they hear the beeps, right? So there's the first beep, there's the second beep, and then they know they have about 15 seconds before it opens. So I wonder if those beeps were in succession at the right timing.
Well, we are waiting. We're going to get the word. Now they're going to check the paddle, I suppose. I'm in communication with our truck. to see what's happening. They've cleared the track here for Team Romania. So leading things off will be Raluca Strămăturaru, followed by Vali Cretu, and then the doubles team of Jitland and Zerban. Unfortunately, Raluca, the 7th place finisher at the last Olympic Games in Pyeongchang, unfortunately she did not qualify for the competition yesterday in women's singles.
In the team event for women, it really doesn't change much for the women. They still get to do a full start. They just have to hit the pad at the end, whereas the men, they have to drop down a full start, which in reality is easier because they are moving slower, but they only get one run to practice it. And so oftentimes we can see the men mess up a little more than the women just because they're not used to that start height.
Absolutely, but an interesting factor is we have so many, as this race moves along, we have so many first-timers in the relay due to the crazy results earlier today in women's singles. So we have a lot of women not used to this relay format. It's probably a good thing, Kate, that they're going off first.
That's a really good point. And wow, even with that time just there, Raluca, similar situation unless we're getting different camera timing, but looked like the gate opened before she hit that pad. So
highly unusual. And again, it could be that we are announcing this thing remotely and we are getting a lot different timing, but generally the clock and the cameras should match up. And now there are issues even locating the competitor. This is Valentin Cretu. He's been around the World Cup for many, many years. Valentin was mentioning to me before the season how difficult it is to try to compete against the larger nations in this sport. But he works very hard. He drives fairly clean lines.
Absolutely. There's so much respect for these smaller countries. I mean, Romania doesn't even have a track. They might have a smaller practice track that they work on, but to be this competitive without the resources that these other countries have, it's truly incredible. But I mean, we can see right there, there's just some timing issues. He clearly hit the pad.
But already on course was the doubles team. So again, we apologize for all of the confusion to our viewers. We're not exactly sure what's going on. Best we can tell, something is setting the gate off at the top for the next sled before the athlete on course has hit the pad.
Their split earlier was now 44 seconds. Yeah, so maybe we're just running into a lot of different things with this race.
What I expect is going to happen here, Kate, is, well, and we're not even sure if they hit that pad, but that may all be immaterial. There'll be another track hold here before South Korea goes, and they will regroup because there are more than just a couple of things going wrong right now on this St. Moritz track. Okay, again, we'll try to keep you up to date on what is happening. And we didn't expect we would have the opportunity to take some questions and comments from the viewers because we were going to move along at a pretty fast clip here. But now that we have these track holds and clearly what's going to be a regrouping, we welcome your comments. You can find us on Twitter at Luge Announcer. You can also email us, luge.announcer, Gmail. And I'll be sending a little message to St. Moritz right now to see what's going on.
This kind of goes to show, I mean, when they have their race judges and their panel, how they can kind of call audible moves within these races. I mean, even with the earlier race with the women's and how they were deciding to keep it to one race. I've never quite seen this with the relay, so I'm interested to see how they change and adjust to these timing issues. Oh, there we go.
There you have it. This race has been canceled. It's probably a little too late for them to even worry about what's happening when the season comes to an end on a really crazy note here, Kate.
Right. I mean, this is not normal. This does not happen. You can see right there, Valley just kind of putting his hands up. Yeah, super interesting. But I mean, I guess this must what be best if they're getting a lot of timing issues, and this might just keep happening with every sled. So maybe this is the best outcome for this.
Unfortunate, especially in light of the fact that everyone has been so excited to come here to St. Moritz. This venue will be hosting the European Championships next year. I believe there are a lot of people that are hoping next year will just be the start of a regular rotation of this track. But it sort of ends on a sour note.
Right, and it's so unfortunate. They don't really come to this track as often, so hopefully they can get a little bit of a redeeming weekend next year and replace it with some good memories that they'll be able to come back more often.
Well, Kate, that's the situation here, and our apologies for this anticlimactic season on what has been a very, very admirable campaign from November into February for this entire sport to successfully manage to run a full schedule. Or one race short of a full schedule. Okay, we look forward to next year. What are we going to be looking out for in the next 12 months as we enter an Olympic season?
Yeah, great question. I mean, this is the most important 12 months of an athlete's career. People will train their whole lives for the next 365 days that are to come. And unfortunately, yeah, like you said, a sour note to end this season with, but I mean, nothing compares to Olympic season coming up. And so these athletes are just looking for consistency to get their sleds dialed in, because there is no room for mistake next season. So hopefully they'll use this off season to their advantage.
Well, Kate, thank you so much. I look forward to calling many more races with you in the seasons to come.
Thank you, Tim.
And as always, folks, it's been a privilege to share all of the excitement and the action with you. These competitions this year were able to take place amongst some of the most trying conditions that the sport of luge has ever encountered. And it happened thanks to the hard work of the Luge Federation with, of course, cooperation from coaches, officials, and athletes. As always, I'm in constant awe. Their guts, their determination, their motivation. And of course, I'm also filled with respect for the coaches and officials who keep the sport of luge relevant and fun. That's going to wrap it up for this season. For Kate and our entire FIL television crew, I'm Tim Singer, wishing everyone a happy and healthy off-season.
Interview. Hast du bestellt? Ja. Hast du bestellt? Ich habe keinen Ton jetzt. Wir haben keinen Ton. Oder schon mal? Er kommt jetzt schon. Ja. Mit ihr machen wir ein Interview? Warte mal, ich glaube. Die Kamera flattert. Mach mal gerade. Hört man mich da nicht, oder? Hast du ein Mikro? Nein, brauche ich nicht. Okay. Noch nicht?
So with me is Maria Luisa Reiner.
Wait.
Okay.
Jetzt erst. So.
So with me is Maria Luisa Reiner, the sports director of the FAL. Maria Luisa, the race, the team competition was cancelled. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to cancel the team relay competition here in St.Moritz, unfortunately. But we had problems with the heavy snowfall, and we had the problems with the timing ice. So, there was always a tiny difference, the gate opens too early and stuff like that. And yeah, so this is the biggest problem, was the biggest problem.
So, and what happens now?
Technical reason we had to cancel, and now we're going to go over and we go for the award ceremony, the overall award ceremony.
Thank you, Maria Luisa Reiner.
You're welcome.
somit kommen wir zur Rangverkündigung des Ebersprecher Team Relay World Cup hier in St.Moritz Celerina am Olympiabob-Rennen. Im ersten Rang mit 415 Punkten Deutschland, im zweiten Rang 375 Punkte Russland und auf Platz 3 Lettland mit 330 Punkten. Herzliche Gratulation an diese drei Nationen. Deutschland Rang 1, Russland Rang 2 und Lettland Rang 3.